There is liability exposure. Obviously, you're a volunteer. You've got a framework for decisions. That's the business judgment rule. You've got marching orders, and that's the objectives laid out in the governing document, state law, case law. But bottom line is you are a board member and you're a volunteer. And all I've been hearing you say is that you need to be, it seems like you need to execute common sense. You need to ask questions where you don't know. You need to try to think what's in the best interest of the association. Um, think about the association first, those kinds of things. But yet we're all humans. You spoke about the rogue board member. You spoke about the minority board member. And I think those are the basic expectations we have of being human in society. We're not always going to get along.
Yes.
But talk
Well,
about.
yeah, I
Go ahead.
just want to back up for a second. And, one of the things is that boards are sometimes fearful on taking the correct course of action because there may be backlash from the members who don't want assessments raised or don't want to go in a particular direction. This is where, the four C's, I think the last one you mentioned was communication.
Yeah, courage and
And
communication.
right. And so they need to exercise some courage and definitely communicate with the members. And it may require communicating often with them and newsletters, emails, town hall meetings, keeping them informed as what's going on, why you're doing what you're doing, having reserve study specialists coming in, attorney coming in, a contractor, whatever it is, needs to express information to the membership. Because if you're doing that and you're moving forward and things are being done reasonably, members will accept it. They may not be happy, but they'll accept it. What they don't like is that you go 10, 15 years without doing what you need to be doing, and suddenly there's a multi-million dollar special assessment in order to fix some element of the common areas. Then, if you hold a town hall meeting, they're out with pitchforks and torches, and they're not happy at all about this. Why haven't you done something? Why have this allowed this to go for so long? How come we're just now hearing about this?
Yeah, all of a
And
sudden that thing that the board thought was good is now clearly shown to be a bad thing.
yes, it's a
In,
disaster.
in my mind, that seems to illustrate the divide or the difference between the board members have a responsibility. They're elected to do a job. And so they're going to be measured by things such as the business judgment rule as far as what they thought and what they decided. Whereas the homeowners, they're not particularly measured by anything. And is that fair that the owners are free to vote whatever they want to vote, but it's the board that has the responsibility?
Yeah, they have the fiduciary duty to act per law in the best interests of the community. And the other thing, not only is it a disaster for the association and the members to get hit with a multi-million dollar special assessment, but the members may be so angry that they want to sue the prior directors that allowed this to happen. And we do get that a lot in that, inquiries to us about can we sue the prior directors. And even though the prior directors may be protected under the business judgment rule, if they get sued individually, they have to go through the lawsuit. And it's a very painful process. It's very stressful for the directors. And they don't know what the outcome of that litigation is going to be. And they might be held personally liable if it's determined that they did not follow the business judgment rule. And so if they failed in following those three elements of the business judgment rule, they could be held personally liable. So that's why it's important that they have the courage to do what they need to be doing and communicating with the membership as to why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah. Let me follow up with, I think it's the last question that we have summarized here. Um, you've addressed the responsibility of the board of directors, the lack of responsibility that the owners have. They're just voting as owners. What do I feel? What do I want?
Right.
What I see sometimes is board members who put themselves in the position they cross the line. they put themselves in the position of a homeowner saying, well, Mrs. Johnson can't afford this. And to me, that seems like they've moved from being a board member, thinking about their duty to do things in the best interest of the association, to all of a sudden becoming an advocate for Mrs. Johnson. And isn't that, haven't they
Well,
overstepped?
oh yeah. In fact, they don't leave their duties as a director when they do that, because that duty, legal responsibility will follow them, and that's where they
Good
can
point.
get sued. And so they can't abdicate their duty and now become advocates on behalf of homeowners, because this comes up a lot with the special assessments. Directors don't like to be a special assessed any more than the members do, and yet they're obligated by law to act in the good faith, best interest of the community, reasonable inquiry, and if that means and their duty to maintain the common areas. So they've got a roof that is now at the end of its life. They don't have enough money in reserves because prior boards didn't put monies into reserves. They have no choice but now to impose a special assessment. It's their obligation to do that and to find a way to make it work the least painful way for the membership, and to communicate a lot with them and to bring them around, because members are not going to be happy about this.
Yeah.
And they're going to be looking for every way out. We don't want it. I can't afford it. How come, the prior boards didn't do it? Let's sue the prior boards. Are you sure it really needs to be done?
What have you been doing with all my money all these years anyway?
Yes, right. And so you hear it all. And every time this comes up, and boards, going back to your C's, your 4 C's, the last 2, the courage and the communication, they have to do the right thing. And a board would ask me, I had one ask me, well, what if we get recalled? So I don't care. In fact, that may be the best thing to happen to you, is you get recalled. So you don't have to deal with it anymore. But while you are directors, you're still obligated to do the right thing, to follow the law, and to act in the best interest of the community. And if that means, imposing a special assessment, then that's what you have to do. So it's always better to avoid special assessments, and the way to do that is to maintain the common areas and to raise the assessments. If it's annually in order to keep up with inflation, then that's what you do. It's better to do it in small incremental increases. It's easier for people to absorb, to deal with that, and it gives you the money you need to maintain the common areas. And that is the primary responsibility of a board, maintain the common areas.
Well, Adrian, this has been a wonderful time. I think we may need to add a 5th C to that, and it's compassion. And just like you said,
right.
It's in the best interest of the association that the board collects enough money to take care of the common areas. And so property values are maximized. And so everyone has an accurate understanding of what it costs to live in the place, which in our inflationary environment goes up a little bit each year. And so if we use Mrs. Johnson again, Mrs. Johnson can see that in a couple of years, she won't be able to afford living there and she'll need to move to a less expensive place. I see that all as compassion. And within the 3 things that you've reinforced so many times here in our time together: good faith, best interest of the association, and after reasonable inquiry. So I want to thank you for spending some time with us today. Adrian, it's a pleasure. I'm a blessed man to have known you for many years and to have you among my resources. So again, on behalf of everyone watching today, I want to thank Adrian Adams of the Adams Sterling Law Firm for the riches of wisdom that you share with us, and hopefully will benefit many, many associations.
Yeah, and Robert, let me say too that I appreciate that you're doing these, because it's important for board members and members, homeowners, to get information like this and to understand what they need to be doing. It makes their jobs easier, and it can help to avoid disasters. So I'm always happy to be involved in something like this and passing information on to owners and board members. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. I think you've given board members a lot of firm ground to stand on, and that'll help them make wiser decisions. Adrian Adams, thank you very much.
My pleasure.